Hello traders, and welcome back to another YouTube video. This is our weekly outlook series that we do every single weekend, and the whole point is we always want to analyze the market, how we closed, and try and see if we can predict where next week's price is actually going to go. And if you've been a follower of this channel for a while, you know that we've been actually really good with these callouts, especially with weekly direction. And then for the rest of the analysis, or rather the entries and whatnot, we do them in our community. So please sit tight and let's get straight into the video. Now, as usual, we start with DXY and then look at the majors, that is pound and euro. Okay. Now, for me, I also trade futures. So I also look at euro futures and pound futures. All right. Then we look at gold on the CFDs, but on the side, I also trade gold futures. And then we also look at AUDUSD, USD and USDCHF as extras, okay, for the subscribers that asked for them. So if there's something that you want me to look at, please don't hesitate to let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to get straight into it, okay? So it's a new month. It's the month of May, new opportunities. And with that, we also start our analysis on the monthly time frame. Okay, so if there's something I have been preaching, when you're starting a new month, you always want to look at the monthly time frame to look at how last month's candle closed. If you're coming into the market a new week, you always want to start your analysis on the weekly time frame. And if you're coming to the market every other day, you always want to start on the daily time frame. Okay, so let's start on the weekly time frame. Now, what we can see on the weekly time frame is, of course, we've been in quite a range. All right. So if you understand the phases of price, then you understand that price expansion on the monthly is lower. And now we are in a bit of a consolidation. Okay. Now, if you understand the phases of price will tell you that from an expansion, we enter into a consolidation, then we enter into another expansion. Okay. So definitely we expect that DXY in the long term will continue bearish. Okay. Especially after this price action that we have here. We have a sweep, we have a CSD over here. Okay. So what we can always expect is in the long term, price will continue lower. But because this is a monthly time frame, you can understand it can take a bit of time before the market actually moves. All right. If you look at all these candles, we've been in a range for quite some time. That is around 12, that is 12 bars, that is around 12 months. So this is a whole year of consolidation. So we don't want to look at all this. We only want to look at the most recent price action, and that is the most recent monthly candle. And from what we can see is we took this low over here on the monthly time frame. Okay, that's sell side. We went all the way up and took buy side. Okay, now after we took buy side, it's either we come again for this low or we come back to internal range liquidity. Okay, what do we have as internal range? We have this volume imbalance over here. Okay, you can just mark it all the way up to there. So we have this volume imbalance. Usually I just want to mark it as a bullish fair value gap. Well, it's not a bullish fair value gap per se, okay, but it's just a gap that tends to hold price. You can see price took out a previous monthly low, okay, and then we have sort of this bullish candle. Now, if you look at GU, I had already checked a few minutes ago. You can see that we took out previous monthly high, okay. I had actually checked that last week on Friday before we closed. So most of these videos are usually very raw. This is usually the first time I'm looking at the charts, and I usually do it with you guys. So now you can see we have SMT, okay, because GU already took out this low. So we have SMT with GU. I think we also have SMT with EU, right, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a very powerful confluence, and what I can assume is the market is going higher. So because we've taken this is now a really easy reversal. This is actually a reversal signature. Okay, so let's go back to the weekly time frame. What do we have on the weekly? Now, last week opened with a gap. Okay, you can see the market was supposed to open here, trade lower, but the market opened all the way up here. Okay, and this is where we closed. So we opened with quite a bit of a gap, and our anticipation was we wanted to see this high getting taken out, which actually happened. Okay, now that we've taken out previous weekly low, okay, we've taken out this low into this volume imbalance, but also on the weekly time frame, you can see we are also reacting from this really huge fair value gap on the weekly time frame. And if there's something that we always say is the wicks do the damage, but the bodies tell the story. So all these bodies are closing inside of this bullish fair value gap. So we can always look at the fair value gap as a key level that we expect to keep holding until it is violated. Okay, but there's always a risk when a fair value gap is always being there's always a risk when a fair value gap keeps being retested. So the risk is that it might also fail and we continue bearish. Okay, but because we also have this volume imbalance on the monthly time frame that you can see price was actually going back to, and we're actually rejecting and closing inside of here, we can always expect more price bullish price action. So because we have this SMT, can expect an open low high close candle next week. And where would I want to target first? I want to target this previous weekly high as my first target. Okay, so I want to see an open low high close, which means I want to see the low of next week form at this point. Okay, so what can you see that we have? We already took out previous daily low at this point. We already have our swing point. So it is not necessary that we come and create another swing point to form the low of the week. So Friday can be the low, and Monday can just open high, open low and high. So Monday we can expect buys on DXY. Okay, so Monday I want to see an open low high close. So Monday would actually be really nice for buys. This would be my first drawn liquidity, and then this previous weekly high is something that I'd want to target. Remember, all these other highs at the top that we want to target will be our ultimate draws, but this will actually be our immediate draws on liquidity. So this is actually very clear on the weekly and the daily time frame on DXY. And now let's get into GU, see what GU is actually doing. Okay, so again we start on the monthly time frame. Same thing you saw on DXY, we have some bits of a consolidation. What did we have? We took out this high over here. We tried to sell, we did not take out this low as on DXY. So I remember when I was asking, is this SMT or is this a case where we'll actually, we're just having a retracement and then we'll come back to take out that low? I guess we'll find out. Now, something else I forgot to mention on DXY. Now, our previous monthly high, especially after I've taken out the low, this is the target. Okay, so for this month, this is where we want to go. Okay, but for the month, but for this week, this is where we want to target previous weekly high. And on the daily, on Monday, we want to target Friday's high first. Okay, so you always want to know where you're drawing liquidity depending on the time frame that you're actually targeting. Okay, so every time frame is always going to have its own draw on liquidity depending on where that month price action shows you that it wants to go. Okay, now what do we have? We have that high getting taken out. We also have a previous monthly high getting taken out, and we have SMT at that point. Okay, so now we know that on the monthly time frame, eventually we want to come and take out previous monthly low, but we can also target this because this is now a failure swing at this point unless we had SMT with another asset. On the weekly time frame, you can see we took out this, which is actually a previous monthly high. Okay, we took out on this monthly high. We didn't actually close with a C2, But what I can always expect, especially when you have SMT like this, is we can always have a retracement low, especially after taking out this relevant high. And what we know about relevant highs is that after a relevant high is taken out, we can always expect the next phase of price, which in this case is either a retracement or a complete reversal. But this being our drawn liquidity, what do we expect? We expect next week to open high, trade lower. But because of how Monday's candle closed on GU, I want to see one more candle print, okay, just to confirm this swing point over here, unless we have something like a PSP. But we also have SMT with EU, just now that I have checked. So you can see we took out previous daily high on Monday. So Tuesday took out Monday's high, but you can see on EU we did not. So this is Monday and this is Tuesday. So we also have SMT at this point. We also have SMT here because now we can see that Monday's candle, this is previous weekly. Actually, this is a weekly time frame. So the week of Monday 27 took out the previous week, and you can see on EU it was not. Okay, we can also see this week of Monday 27th took out Monday 13th, which you can see it was not taken out, which it was taken out on GU, but it was not taken out on EU. So these are some really nice confluences that we have. So we can just look at this one SMT over here. Okay, so which makes this a very, or rather a really nice confluence to have to confirm prices are actually going to trade lower. Okay, remember this was the monthly SMT. And this is actually the weekly SMT, so not to confuse. So next week, our first drawn liquidity is definitely going to be this. We also have some really nice equal lows at this point, but there's not enough separation between these lows. So I'll just consider the whole of this as liquidity into this weekly fair value gap. But also this weekly fair value gap was actually tapped into on EU, okay, which was also another case of SMT at this point for the buys that we actually took last week. So I don't actually expect this fair value gap to fail, to hold. I actually expect it to fail, okay? Because if you ask me, the fair value gap already served its purpose, and its whole purpose was actually to take out this liquidity. It was not taken out on EU, but it was taken out on GU, and that's the whole point of SMT, okay? One asset manipulates so that the other one doesn't have to. Okay, so this low is definitely liquidity. I expect this fair value gap to fail, and I expect the market to actually come back to this level over here. Okay, so what do we have on daily? On daily, it's actually a bit clearer than it is on the weekly time frame. I think there's something I said wrong over here. I said I want to wait for one more daily closure to confirm this swing point. This is actually on the weekly time frame. Okay, so that is like saying I want to wait for one more weekly candle to close. Okay, so in as much as you can also wait for that, this is the weekly time frame. You can always confirm with the daily. So the daily actually is a bit clearer. Allow me to apologize for that. So we have a swing point confirming that zone after we've taken out this liquidity over here. We have SMT. We have some really nice equal lows at this bottom. So Monday, I can confirm that I'll be looking for sales actively. Okay, so on Monday, I want to see an open high, low close. Okay, if we actually inverse this fair value gap that we left over here, that will be really nice confluence to confirm sales all the way to targeting this and potentially even this in the long run. Okay, so Monday will be really easy for sales. Okay, so open, high, low. I know someone will ask me where would they be looking for trades from? This is really easy. We have an ICCSD on the candle that formed on Friday. So if you want to see an open, high, low close, you want to look for areas that can hold price. We have this fair value gap. We have this one as well. We have this one as well, but I'd stick to the two above because they offer good prices. Okay, so you want to see an open, high, low close candle. Okay, so that's what you want to see. So what you'd want to look for is you want to see either price come to this CSDOB or come into this fair value gap, offer you a CSD, and then look for trades lower, and that would actually be your entry model. Okay, so let's look at EU. You can see we had a really nice buy on Friday, but let's start on the monthly time frame again. Now, what do we have on the monthly time frame? We took out this high as buy side liquidity. Okay, we took out that high. You can see we also have this is the low that we took out on DXY. In DXY it's a high, and we failed to take it out on GU. That's what I was asking, is it SMT? Okay, but it looks like we're actually now going to come for this low next as our liquidity. You can see we also have SMT here with GU. We failed to take out this high in the same way we failed to take out the low on DXY. Now we have SMT with GU, which makes it really interesting. Now our first drawn liquidity on the monthly time frame is the previous monthly low, but I'll just put this together since there's not enough separation, and I look at them as failure swings, which makes them liquidity. Now we have this SMT at this particular point on the monthly time frame. So if you look at the monthly, we have the SMT, which is quite interesting. Okay, but on the weekly time frame, we also have this SMT over here, which makes it really nice to confirm reversals for this coming week. Okay, now we took out this low into this fair value gap. Okay, and I have already explained it. We already served the purpose, and the sub purpose was to take out this high as our drawn liquidity, which already happened on GU. So we don't have to take the same high again on EU to confirm that this fair value gap actually served its purpose, which was to go and take out external range. So I can expect this fair value gap to actually fail. Okay, and now because on the weekly time frame, what is our first draw on liquidity? Definitely this low over here. If we inverse this fair value gap, then ultimately we come back, we will come lower and take out these lows over here. Okay, daily time frame. Let's look at the daily. Remember, this is the monthly SMT. Now, what do we have on the daily time frame? Daily time frame took out this, closed as swing point. Okay, now what can I expect? Expect an open high low. You can see we also don't have a fair value gap on euro, so euro can actually sell a bit faster. Also euro is weaker, that's why we have this SMT. Okay, so euro did not take out the high. Euro is weaker, we don't have a fair value gap, so we don't have anything that might actually stop price. You can see that we had this bullish fair value gap on this BC on GU. I expect it to fail, but definitely expect the one without the fair value gap to fail, or rather to fall even faster. So EU might be a better sell. We can also compare that with Euro GBP. So you definitely want to look at Euro GBP, and you can see Euro GBP looks very weak. Okay, we're actually selling. So on the weekly time frame, I'd expect that we come for this low over here. Okay, so euro, if you look at it on the weekly time frame, I'd expect that because we have this fair value gap, we open high, take out that, and continue selling lower. So definitely euro is weaker. So you want to look at sales on euro USD. Okay, and if you're also trading futures, look for sales on euro futures as well. Now coming back to the daily time frame, again, I want to see an open high, low close candle. If you are on the 1 hour time frame, what would you want to look at? What would you want to see? We want to see, we have an ICCSD over here. If you also want to mark other key levels or arrays that might actually hold price, we have fair value gap number 1, number 2, number 3. In short, we have so many levels inside of this key level. So expect one of them to hold price. So we want to see an open high, low close candle. So after we've come into this key level, look for a CSD or a confirmation like a break of structure, a retest, and continue to sell lower. Target these draws on liquidity. Okay, so that is what I'd want to see on EU and GU. Now let's look at AUDUSD. AUDUSD, what do I want to see? This is the monthly time frame. Now AUDUSD looks different. Okay, AUDUSD actually looks very bullish. We took out that previous monthly low into that key level. We also have a CSD on the monthly time frame, which actually confirms price as bullish. Okay, now let's look at it on the weekly time frame. Now on the monthly time frame, we've also taken out a previous weekly high, which is actually a reversal signature. Which is actually a reversal signature. And we've already taken out external range at this point. So you can always expect price to come back into internal range. Now, remember, this is where on the monthly time frame, we took out a previous monthly low into a key level, which is this low over here. Now, what can we expect? We've already come into this zone over here. Okay, so now we either continue higher, but if DXY confirms buys, then expect AUDUSD to move in the opposite direction, which is sells. Now, this fair value gap has already held price, so I'd expect price to ultimately come to internal range, which is over here, which also lines up with this CSD. Okay, the OB has already been retested, but we can expect now this low to actually get taken out as liquidity. If you go to the monthly time frame, I expect price to come to this key level. Okay, now this aligns with our model because we expect the market to come to at least 50%, and it also looks like we're coming deep discount of that previous monthly candle. Okay, of course, all assets will not look the same. Some will look different, but it is important that you always follow the price action. So if I go on the daily time frame, and for those who were in the meeting last week, I call these buys from this key level. Okay, so these buys were really nice. Now you can see what we have on the daily time frame. We took out that high, took out this previous daily high. Okay. Now, our first drawn liquidity at least is this low, okay, or this previous daily low. So this is what I'd want to look at. Now, it is important that you also look for SMT, and you can see we have SMT at that point with DXY, which confirms further our analysis. So come Monday open, I want to look for confirmations. As you can see, AUDUSD has not confirmed that we will actually want to go sales. I'd want to see a CSD around that point to actually confirm any potential reversals. Okay. USDCHF, let's see USDCHF. USDCHF, we call this sells and buys really nicely last week. So again, we start on the monthly time frame. Okay. Again, I'm saying that I was saying that last week on the weekly time frame, we actually call this reversal. Okay, because we had an inside bar, so we took out previous weekly high as expected. But let's see what to actually expect. Let's look at the monthly time frame. Remember, this asset is supposed to follow DXY. Okay, now we have again failing to take out that low, but we've seen other assets do. Okay, so I'd have wanted to see SMT here, but it's still okay. Other assets have confirmed this low getting taken out. So because of the SMT on other assets like GU, okay. But let's see what we have. You can also look for SMT on other assets like USDJPY, which also follow DXY. So that is still something you can do. But I'd still want to see one more sweep of this low. Okay, I'd still want to see one more sweep of this low. So if you look at the monthly time frame, if at all we are going higher like DXY, then this high is something that I'd want to target. Okay, so I'd want to see an open low high close. If you come to the weekly time frame, on the weekly time frame, we still don't have anything. Let me see. Actually, in the weekly time frame, we took out previous weekly low. We took out Monday's low, okay, on DXY, which is really interesting. So we took out Monday's, this is Monday. So we took out Monday. So we actually have SMT at this point, which actually confirms our whole theory about price moving higher. So now I expect an open low high. What do I want to target? This as my first draw. But because these highs are very close together, I want to look at them as equal lows, relative equal highs. Sorry. Now I want to see an open low high close, definitely. So that means I want to see a swing point on the daily time frame to confirm the low of the week has actually been set, and we do. Okay, so you can see we took out previous weekly low last week, and we actually closed above the low of previous weekly high, previous weekly low, previous daily low that was on Thursday. So what do I want for Monday? Open low high close. So definitely on Monday I want to look for more buys. So more buys on Monday, open low high close. On the 1 hour, what would I want to see? I want to see an ICCSD to confirm that low, which we do. Oh, okay. So what do I want to see? I want to see the market open, trade lower into a key level. We have some fair value gaps here. I think that is the only gap. So I want to see the market trade back into here. Have another CSD to confirm the low of the day has already been formed. And then I can continue to look for buys. So the beauty about this model is if you actually catch a good trade on Monday, you can actually hold it all the way to Thursday as long as your drawn liquidity has not been taken out. So if you're a swing trader, definitely this model is good for you if you're trading CFDs. But for someone like me who's also trading futures, I cannot hold overnight, but still a very good model to actually understand. Now let's look at our last asset, which is actually gold. We've been pretty consistent with gold. Last week, we've actually been calling these buys all the way, like we've been calling these sells, and we've also called these buys. And when it was time to call the sells, we also did from this point over here, just understanding price action, understanding candles, and understanding the theory behind market movements. So last week, we wanted to see an open high, low close, mostly to target this draw on liquidity. You can always watch the previous video in case you have doubts or just to confirm what we were actually looking at. This is what we called last week. But now if we were to follow our model did not give us any confirmations to actually look for any trades as it was selling, which is still okay. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the most important thing is to always follow your model. Okay, so on gold, what do we have? Now, if you look at the price action, last week closed as an inside bar, which means gold last month was actually more of a consolidation. And like the previous month, actually, if you look, most of the months, gold has actually had quite a bit of movement. What happened? We took out the previous weekly low, okay? Previous monthly low, went higher, took the previous monthly high. So we actually opened here, took out the high first, then went for the low, and then closed above that low, which actually confirms this swing point. So eventually in the long run, I want to see more buys on gold, but because this is the monthly time frame, it can actually take a very long time. As you can see, this is already 2 months. Okay, this is the second month, and we're still playing inside of previous monthly range, candle range. So we definitely want to trade with caution. Now, because this is a consolidation, what do you expect about consolidations? That one side of the range gets taken out. Okay. Now let's go back to the weekly time frame and see what this actually looks like. And you can see this is actually a consolidation. Okay. What do we have right now? Again, something else you need to understand about consolidations is they will always move. We always move from an expansion into a consolidation into another expansion. Okay. But because of the price action that we had here, we already took this low. I expect that eventually we'll have that bullish run next week. Okay, so we already had our swing point at this point. This was my drawn liquidity. We already took it out, and we're actually closing above that liquidity point. But based on how we closed last week, okay, based on how we closed, I can still expect more sells. So if we continue to sell, what would I want to target? I'd want to target this low and eventually this if we continue falling. Okay, but now because we also took out some very important liquidity, and especially also because this is gold, and also because how we closed at this point. So if this is supposed to be a swing point that that is supposed to hold, we don't expect price to come all the way down here. Okay, so based on how we closed last week, I'd want to trade sells with caution. Okay, because the market could easily just open low, trade higher, and we continue our buys. So it is really important that we understand what we're actually looking for. But if the weekly time frame is not clear, we can always look at the daily time frame just to get some bit of confirmation. We also took this out, which is actually very valid. Now, if you look at price action, we're actually very bearish. Okay, the market looks, the immediate price action that we want to be trading looks pretty bearish. Now, something that we want to consider, we actually came into a very important zone, which is a daily fair value gap, which is a daily CB. What do we have inside of that range? We already took out a previous daily high inside of that range. We just need to confirm if there's SMT, and there is with XAU euro. Okay, we can also look at silver. We don't have SMT with silver, but you have SMT with XAU euro, which is still valid for me. Now, I want to see more sells because of the SMT. SMT inside of a key level confirms that level for me. This will be my first drawn liquidity, but remember, this is also still a consolidation based on how we close. So we want to trade carefully. Okay, so open high, I still want to say an open high, low close. Let's see if Friday's candle confirmed any sells. We did not. You can see we have SMT. Okay, SMT is just a sweep. Okay, but you can see we didn't actually confirm any sort of thing with a CSD. So the CSD is actually supposed to be here if we want it to actually be valid. But if you're someone who trades inversion fair value gaps, then this inversion would actually make a lot of sense for you. If it actually gets inversed, and then you want to look for, this is supposed to be an inversion. Okay, you can always look for continuation entries from this fair value gap. So you want it inversed first of all, and then you can look for continuation purges from here. Okay, something like this, which is still a very valid entry. So you want to see continuation purge like that. Okay, we already have our SMT, so you can look at this as sell side of the curve. This was buy side of the curve in a market maker sell model. Buy side of the curve, now you're in sell side of the curve, and this would actually be a pretty valid zone for trades. Okay, and then you can target this as your regional consolidation. So depending on what you trade, market maker models will always be present. Okay, whether it's a market maker buy model, market maker sell model, MMXMs are very important. Okay, and they're always present everywhere. So it is really important that you understand them. And with that, I believe we are done with our weekly outlook for next week. And I believe this was a very powerful session and video. And I try in as much as possible to give you as much learning as possible. Okay, so if you guys enjoyed this type of content, or you enjoy this type of content, please don't hesitate to give me a like. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel so that we can continue growing together. And if you also want to see the executions, please don't hesitate to join our community. Link will also be in the description. All right. And if you also want to learn from me some of the concepts that I use, I'm actually offering a mentorship. The link is also in the description. You can also use it. You can click it and buy from there. Or if you want, to reach out directly when you join the community. I'm one of the admins, and Thunderbolt is my name, and you can always DM me anytime. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.